The Village Board of Trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Kathy Blahunka. Can you hear me? I just came today to bring some things to the attention of you and maybe other people in the community about the road funds that go through the township. In December of 2022, Shields Township lowered their road levy by $167,000 without discussion or rationale. The money was not returned to the taxpayers, but rather moved to the corporate fund. For the next 2 years, December 23 and 24, Shields Township kept the road fund at the same low levy amount as set in 2022. The road fund did not take any CPI increases, yet the corporate fund received the maximum allowable CPI increase, including the increase that would have been applied to the road fund. Many people are not aware the road fund from Shields Township gets distributed in part back to the municipalities. When the road fund was lowered, all areas of the township lost road funds. The cumulative loss of road funds is over the 3 years of $600,000. This loss is estimated to be $318,000 for the unincorporated areas, $173,000 for the city of Lake Forest, $93,000 for the village of Lake Bluff, and $15,000 for the city of North Chicago. Our road fund money is sitting in the corporate fund and was used in part to purchase $174,000 of road equipment, 2 trucks and a golf cart. I believe it is illegal to purchase road equipment from the corporate fund, but I can't be sure. There's a new board of trustees of which 2 representatives are from Lake Forest. If they're not educated or encouraged to right the wrong, we could lose an estimated $1.8 million cumulative road funds during their term. It'd be about $250,000 for Lake Bluff and $500,000 for Lake Forest and $900,000 for the unincorporated area. So we are here tonight at this meeting to inform you. I think you may be aware that you're getting less money from the road fund distributions from the township. But we want to figure out how we can get help to get our road money back, because it's just sitting in a corporate fund making interest. And we're paying a water tax, and unincorporated Knollwood has SMC projects that they could easily spend that money on to help the water problems in their area. And it's just plain wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Hello, my name's Mike Perrette. I'm actually a resident of Lake Forest, but this affects all of Shields Township, and we've been attending the Shields Township meetings, and we intend to go to them and have them adjust the levy in December, and we'd appreciate any help that the village can give in terms of urging them to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Rachel Mumash-Schweizer, and I just wanted to come say hello. I'm the new senior pastor at the Union Church of Lake Bluff, and I just wanted to reaffirm that Union is very much a neighborhood church for Lake Bluff and Lake Forest, and we are excited to continue partnering with the town in whatever way we can, including we have a beautiful building that has plenty of space. So if you're looking for space for your group to meet or for any sort of business to be conducted, please just let us know, and we'd love to talk to you about that. But we're very happy to be here in Lake Bluff.
Thank you, Rachel, and happy to see you here. Anybody else? Do we have anybody online?
Anybody participating in tonight's Zoom meeting online and wants to make a comment, now's the time to raise your hand and be recognized for items not on the agenda. Again, comments for items not on tonight's agenda. Nobody is.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6 of village board sets the order of a meeting. And I do understand that item 10A and items 15 and 16 should be next in the agenda. Any objection from the board? And so moving on to item 10A, that would be my village president's report. And And what we're doing tonight is a consideration of approval of appointment of Brian Renner to fill the vacancy on the village board and the finance committee tonight. And so tonight I will recommend the appointment of current Sustainability and Community Enhancement Ad hoc Committee SEC Chair and former Village Board Trustee Brian Renner to serve as village trustee until the next consolidated election on April 6, 2027. His service to the village was honored 10 years ago by the village board as attached in the packet. Brian Renner is principal and electrical discipline leader, as well as mission critical leader at the Smith Group. Brian graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree in electrical engineering from Michigan State University. He's a registered professional engineer in Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and 15 other states, and he's a lead accredited professionals. He serves as co-chair of the Village of Lake Bluff Sustainability Committee and sits on the editorial board of Consulting Specifying Engineer magazine.
You've got the form up there.
I don't need a motion, right?
No, well, you do, yes, yes, you do.
All right. Could I please have a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. So voice vote,
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Brian? Mind joining me? Could you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Brian Renner,
I, Brian Renner,
having been appointed to the office of village trustee
having been appointed to the village of office trustee
in the village of Lake Bluff,
in the village of Lake Bluff,
in the county of Lake aforesaid,
in the county of Lake aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village trustee
that I will faithfully discharge the office of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Up there. Congratulations, Ryan.
Next on our agenda is item 15 and item 16 as they differ in a small fashion. And I will read part of item 15, adding a paragraph from item 16 so that we can have a constructive conversation from these two elements at the same time. And so we are going to discuss item 15, an ordinance amending section 10-13-3 of Title 10 of the Municipal Code regarding special use permits for planned mixed-use development. And item 16, that is an ordinance granting final plan approval, zoning variations and modifications for planned mixed-use development at 570 Evanston Avenue. Is there a motion to approve these ordinances? The first ordinance, item 15 on the agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. And that would be, this is the first of two items, item 15, before the village board related to the potential redevelopment of two easternmost lots of Block 3. As you will recall, the village board granted development concept plans and preliminary zoning variations and modifications for this project at 570 Evanston Avenue on June 9, 2025. On August 22nd, 2025, the village received application from Block 3 LLC for a text amendment, zoning variations, and a special use plan mixed use development, a PMD, final plan with modification for 570 Evanston Avenue. Proposed is a 4-unit condo building with interior and exterior access to each unit. The building contains residencies on the first and second floor, a partial third floor that provides access to rooftop decks via stairs and elevator, and an underground 8-space parking garage. PMDs are a distinct category of special use that allows flexibility in and around the central business district, the CBD, for the CBD. 570 Evanston Avenue is zoned R4, residence district. Currently, only properties that are fully or partially CBD zoned may apply for a PMD. The applicant is seeking a text amendment to allow the PMD tool to also be used by property zones R4 that are contiguous with a CBD and located at Lot 4 and 5 in Block 3 at the northwest corner of Scranton Avenue and Evanston Avenue. For the property is zoned R4, the updated comprehensive plan suggests the village remain open to the development of multifamily housing and/or mixed-use buildings in strategic locations in and near the central business district, directly noting the southern half of Block 3 as a potential area. At its September 17th, 2025 public hearing, the PCCBA voted unanimously to approve a proposed text amendment. And item 16 will add that the applicant seeks modifications within the PMD, including number 1, PMD minimum lot area requirements. Number 2, certain R4 zoning regulations listing the draft ordinance. And number 3, fence height to allow an 8-foot tall fence. In the R4 district, the allowed building height is 34 feet. Because the PMD tool has a strict height limit of 30 feet, the applicant is also requesting variations to exceed, number 1, the maximum height of 30 feet by approximately 4 feet, and number 2, the maximum height of 2 stories in order to have a partial third floor. Attached is a timeline of meetings that have taken place so far, and that would be in the package. And that would be those 2 documents together. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Board, what do you guys think?
I think it would be really helpful to walk through the timeline. We have a lot of people here who I believe are here for this specific topic. And I think one of my concerns is that there's been some discussion implying that this is a fly-by-night undercover decision to put this on the agenda this evening. But I think I said to Drew today, I have a memory of a goldfish, so I think I need the refresher of how many times we've had this issue before the board and how many times it's been before the PCZBA.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do that now or later. I know the petitioner is here and has a presentation ready for the.
I think this is reasonable. Do any objection?
No, I'm happy to hear the.
So moving forward, you vote.
The presentation.
Yep.
Hello, excuse me, I'm Tom Dobbins. I'm the architect for the project. I also happen to live in Lake Bluff at 403 Evanston Avenue. And I will start by answering your question. For those of you who paid attention to the packet, the village actually put a great timeline in there, probably better than I could do. But if you go maybe to the, I think, 3rd slide, Drew. Next one, 2nd slide. So historical context. So I didn't list dates here, but I certainly can walk you through the timeline because, I think we all recognize there's been a lot of public commentary the last few days out there. I'm not sure I agree with any of it, but you know, that's why we're here tonight.
That's
We,
that's the exhibit that.
that's the exhibit. Okay, that's great. So on November 20th, almost a year ago, we came in front of the PCZBA. And then again, we came there on 12/18, December 18th. Those were workshops. And for any of you that watched those workshops, when we first came to the PCZBA, we were very uncertain if Lake Bluff would support multifamily on this corner. And I said on multiple occasions in those meetings, and have said multiple times since then, if the village did not want multifamily on that corner, we would have gone away. It's a big ask, changing single family to a PMD and proposing what we want. It's the right thing to do. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't believe it. And I think there's a lot of people who do think it's the good thing. But we were very careful to test the waters to make sure we weren't ramrodding something down Lake Bluff's throat and the neighbor's throat. Now, you all know all the neighbors are not jumping up and down about this project, but we have plenty of neighbors who are very happy about it, and many of them are going to be here tonight. So after we did that, we went to the ABR for 2 workshops, okay? We went there, first of all, to get some feedback, because again, you never quite know what the ABR is going to say until you're there. We went back a second time because we had time to do so. We wanted to make sure that the project was fully vetted. So we went to the ABR twice. Then we went back, I guess we went to the ABR once. We went back to PCZBA formally, got unanimous approval. Then we went back for another workshop to the ABR. We then came to the village board twice, as you remember, and we got unanimous approval the second time on a consent agenda for the preliminary plan design, concept plan, they call it, and the text or the zoning relief. After that, we had to do the whole process again. So we went back to the PCZBA. We got unanimous support again. Then we could go back to the ABR formally. We did that. We got unanimous support from them, and here we are. So we've been at this almost a year. We've been to 9 meetings. This is the 10th meeting. I think the project is fully vetted. Anybody suggesting we are rushing this project through, I think is mistaken. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, let's go from the top and we'll kind of go through it. So again, part of what I have to decide when I come up in front of you is how much do you want to hear again, right? I mean, we've been to 9 meetings. You've heard this now once before. So I'm going to kind of go fast. We'll dwell on whatever you'd like or come back and answer questions. So we just went through the historical concept. We've been at this for quite a while. I think the project's fully vetted. Nobody's trying to ramrod this through. Next slide. So what is new from the last time you saw it? Well, there's one big thing. The PCZBA and the ABR have unanimously recommended this to move on to the village board. So they had unanimous support from both of them after being in front of them several times. The new comprehensive plan is now approved. When we first started this back in November of 2024, there was frankly some ambiguity related to the comprehensive plan about Block 3 in this corner. There is no longer any ambiguity about this corner. It supports multifamily, and I would argue it recommends multifamily on the corner. We'll talk a little more about that. Some minor design changes. These were as a result of the ABR. The Scranton Avenue facade, they wanted us to simplify it from what you saw. We scaled down some chimneys. We used limestone instead of brick, and we coordinated some exterior finishes. All very relatively minor changes. We have created full civil engineering drawings. I mentioned drainage here. Drainage is always a hot button. We'll talk a little more about that. The tree preservation and replacement is a hot button. I won't dwell on it here. We'll talk a little more about that. And photometrics, dark sky fixtures and so forth. So those are some of the changes, none major from what you last saw. Next slide. Same site plan, exactly as you saw it last time. No changes. I'll just remind you that our piece of property is 43% of the block. The bank building development is 57. Obviously, there's a lot going on there. And so when you drive by, the site looks even smaller than ever because Altunian is using half of our site as a staging. So it makes our corner look very small, but we actually are 43% of the block, which is more than most people would imagine. Second of all, I want to just re-explain the design concept here very quickly. We think it's important, is important to generally align the front and the back, the north and the south facades to the Altunian Whitmer building. We think that is just good planning. Now, again, maybe not everybody agrees with it, but obviously the ABR thought it was a good idea. The PCZBA thought it was a good idea. We have the same setback on our west side that Altunian has on their east, and we have a 20-foot setback along Evanston Avenue, which is a ordinary front yard setback. One thing that is a little different on this site from a lot of properties in Lake Bluff is from the property line to the back of the sidewalk, there's about 5 or 6 extra feet. So these setbacks appear to be a little bigger than you might expect because of that bonus. Next slide. This is the site plan, no different than what you've seen. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of drawings that the PCZBA and ABR have already approved. Certainly happy to answer any questions. This shows some trees, but we'll get into some better exhibits on the trees. But this is the site plan that's really unchanged from last time you saw it. Next. So these are the elevations. This elevation has changed a little from what you last saw. The ABR wanted it simplified. We didn't argue. It's simplified. This is, of course, the Scranton Avenue facade. Just to refresh your memory, there are 2 condo units on the first floor, 2 on the second floor. We have shared porches. So you have your own front entrance, own front door to each of the condominium units. The shared front porch you see along Scranton is the entrances to the second floor units. So you come in and you can go up a stair with an elevator that can go up and down, stair 2 to the garage, or all the way up to the 3rd floor, which is a small roof deck. Next facade, or next one. So this is the side elevation, the east, which is Evanston Avenue. Many people might consider this the front elevation. However, I've called it the side elevation. It's got some changes. We created a bay window along the bump out on the left with the trellis and some plantings. We changed it from brick to limestone since you last saw it, and we refined some of the material selections. We made the garage door arched and so forth. The one thing that I would like to point out here that I think is a really nice feature of this project is the bottom of the garage door is about 3 feet below finished floor. So the entire ramp sloping down is hidden behind the garage door. The slope from the garage door to the sidewalk is quite minimal. It's probably only 2 or 3 inches. However, it hides that ugly ramp down, okay? It also has enough room in front of the garage door for a car to stop before it hits the sidewalk so they can come out slowly and make sure there's no pedestrians coming across. Next slide. This is the side elevation facing the bank building property. Again, the last time you saw this, it was not rendered in color, but substantially the massing is identical to what you last saw. And then the last one. So this is the rear elevation. This is what's facing north. Okay, now this is facing Gene and Lee's property. Okay, and they're not jumping up and down about this project. I don't think there's any mystery about that. What you see here, I certainly don't think is so bad, and I'll show you a cross section of why, and with all the evergreens, how it's pretty well suited. But I just want to point out, this elevation is shorter than what could be built as a single family home today. A single family home can be 34 feet with 3 stories. So what you're looking at here could be built, and it could be built actually taller. Next slide.
Can I just clarify what you have said?
Absolutely.
So let's say a single family, let's say an individual or a family purchased the lot and didn't want to change the zoning and kept it residential and used the blueprints, essentially the exterior of the building, but didn't break it into separate condos. What you're saying, they could build this essentially.
No, I would love to be able to tell you that's true.
Right.
I mean, the issue is, this is a big building. I mean, we're building just under 13,000 square feet. So our setbacks are reasonably close to what the single-family setbacks could be. The daylight plane, if you know what that is complied with comfortably on the north side. It almost makes it on the west side. Doesn't quite make it because we've got a couple dormers that the 45-degree angle clips, and we're over 20 feet. But for instance, the setback from the north side is 18.75 feet for a single family. We are at 22. Now, granted, we do have a porch, an open porch that's closer, but the main structure is 22 feet away. But height-wise is what I was talking about. The building is substantially bigger than what a single family could be.
But the height, essentially, as far as
The height
and
is
the daylight plane.
along the north property line is complied with, and you'll see an exhibit showing that.
Great.
Okay, so this is the landscape plan. This is identical to what you last saw. I will point out one thing. We were including benches along the sidewalk along Scranton Avenue. This still shows that those are not going in. Nobody frankly thought that was a good idea other than me. So the ABR and the PCZBA convinced us that was not something we should do. So again, this shows the existing trees we're preserving, and we'll talk more about that when we get there. Next slide. Okay, so I'm jumping right now into the impact of the project because that's really what it's about. I mean, I will refresh your memory. So part of what we're doing tonight, some of what you're approving should be routine. You have already approved the concept plan. We are presenting a final plan that's identical to the concept plan, so you could argue that should be approved. The PCZBA and the ABR unanimously recommended to move it on to you. So I think that's a pretty good sign. That would suggest you should approve it. And lastly, I think our project complies with the comprehensive plan very closely, and you'll see an exhibit on that, okay? So that's the first general impact here. The comprehensive plan, and I'll show you an exhibit on this, basically shows our building in the comprehensive plan. So that suggests they like what we're planning to do pretty well. Public improvements, we are planning to relocate the power lines on the north side underground. We are also planning to relocate the power lines along Evanston Avenue and the Parkway underground. Tree preservation, we are saving approximately 15 trees. There has been some commentary out there that we are lying about saving trees. I will go on the public record. We are serious about saving trees. We have an arborist ready to talk about it tonight if needed, and we'll show you an exhibit of how many trees we're going to save. We are taking extraordinary measures with basically 2 or 3 of the trees because they are close to the building. But the overwhelming majority are 15 feet or more away, closer than we'd like, but have a very high potential for surviving. And we have a tree replacement plan that's hot off the press that the Lake Bluff and we have agreed on, and we can talk more about that if needed. Village support. We certainly have some neighbors that are here tonight. I'd like to point out some. Certainly the neighbors that I've said on the south and east side of the property have supported this from the very beginning. I'm very proud of the fact that they support it. I'll remind you of something George Russell said in the PCZBA meeting when they first approved it. He said, "I've been looking at projects here for 15 years. I have never seen this group of neighbors support anything going on this corner. They are supporting this project, so that's one big reason why I'm supporting it too." That would include the Borowskis. It would include the Reeses. The Reeses are here. Paul Lemieux, Paul is here. Becky Kluchka, Becky is here. And I will add tonight that Todd Eltunian and Peter Whitmer, the neighbors to the west, are also in favor of this, okay? Factual clarifications, we'll get to that in a slide in a minute. Next slide. So I'll go quickly. I'm just telling you what you already know here. Comprehensive plan, next slide. So this is the old exhibits from the comprehensive plan. I would argue that the exhibit on the right is what Lake Bluff used way back when in the first or second workshop at the CBA to convince everybody that the village supported multifamily on this. There's language to that effect, and we built on that. These are old exhibits. These aren't the ones in the comprehensive plan now. Next. So if you could have eagle eyes here, you will see that on this exhibit, multifamily is now shown in brown on the 2 lots in question here. Next slide. All right, this is just to remind everybody, these 2 lots are in block 3. I don't think there's any question about that. This is an exhibit in the comprehensive plan. Next. So lo and behold, this is in the comprehensive plan and it shows the CBD extending all the way over to Evanston Avenue. Now, we are single family, but single family it does not necessarily preclude us to be treated at least for the purposes of what we're trying to do tonight as a central business district type lot. This is in your comprehensive plan. This was just approved months ago. Next. And maybe the most compelling exhibit is you can see our building as designed in the comprehensive plan placed on the corner. That building has a little circle there with 2.5 on it. That means we're 2.5 stories. 2.5 stories is kind of a weird thing. We are 3 stories, so is Altunians. We have never once in front of any board suggested we are not a 3-story building. We are over 30 feet and we are 3 stories and we're not ashamed of that. What we're asking for here is just a very modest variation on that. The Altunian building to the left, which is the bank building property, should really also have a 2.5 in it as well. They are 3 stories, but because it's a partial 3rd story from the comprehensive plan standpoint, they're calling it 2.5. But from a zoning standpoint, it's a 3-story building. But this is in the Lake Bluff comprehensive plan and fully supports what we're planning to do. Next. So now we're on to tree preservation. So from the very beginning, these are the trees we've planned to preserve. This is kind of a rudimentary sketch. Those are photographs of some of the trees and evergreens we're saving, but there's about 15 trees and evergreens. Now granted, maybe 6 or 7 of them are evergreens that are on the north side of the property that are grouped together, but there's some decent oak trees, 2 in the parkway, 4 on our property. There's a basswood in the back, and then some very mature evergreens that we are saving. We're doing extraordinary measures to do so and are fully committed to doing so. Next. This is way less rudimentary. This was prepared by an arborist from the civil engineering group, and this shows tree protection, fully vetted with the village of Lake Bluff. Lots of little details that we're gonna have to work out once we get into construction, but this was talked about and fully vetted with Jeff Hansen weeks ago. Next. Supporting communication. So these are our emails from some of the people sitting here. So I didn't know that they would be gracious enough to come tonight. As you guys probably know, getting supporters of projects are much harder to get than getting people who are opposed to come. So I'm very happy and proud that they're here. But these are emails from some potential interested buyers as well. So, you can make that for what it's worth, but we have quite a bit of support as well. Next. So this is factual clarifications. If anybody wants to get into the nuances of this, we can. But what it shows is that we are smaller in every aspect proportionally to the Altunian Whitmer building, as it should be. We are a transitional building. I should have said that when we showed the design. By any objective measure, our building, I think, is transitional with pitched roofs, dormers, front porches. The Altunian building is a little less transitional. It's approved, it's under construction, it's not going anywhere. But I think we're a good balance right in between those two. So what these statistics show is that percentage-wise, we're less on every front. But what it also shows is the text amendment that we're asking for, Altunian asked for and got. Now, they are in a central business district. We are a single family. There is a difference there. They got a variance for over 30 feet. They are 35 feet, and they got a variance for 3 stories, and we need the same variance for 3 stories. Just because they got it doesn't mean we deserve it, but I think there is an argument to be made that what we're proposing is less overbearing than theirs is, and we have a good argument to get it. Next. Specific. So, you know, people, if you can read that, I'll go very quickly through this. I wasn't sure you'd be able to read it. Property values. There's been commentary that the property values are going to be decreased because of this project. Our units are selling for $2.5 million. Altunians are selling for over $1,000 a square foot, probably $2.5 to $3 million. I would argue anybody that understands real estate in Lake Bluff does not believe these projects are going to decrease property value. They're going to sell for 1.5 times what all the surrounding single families are. Height, we've talked about. By the way, the 34-foot height is a ridge in the front of the building oriented towards Scranton that's perfectly centered on the elevator to hide the elevator overrun. But if my eyes are right, that 34 feet is 88 feet from the north property line. So the high ridge line is way away from the northern neighbors. There is a 31-foot ridge. Now a ridge means it's 31 feet for 2 feet. That's 44 feet, I think, if what the number is, away from the north property line. Not overbearing at all. Light and vent, you'll see an exhibit that we're against the north property line, well back, and the pitched roofs reduce any impact to the north neighbors. Privacy, you'll see an exhibit. Exterior lighting, we're using all coach lights, and we're using dark sky. Traffic, there's been some talk about traffic. The amount of traffic here is negligible. Lake Bluff waived the need to do a traffic study because of that. I don't think anybody expects that. So we can talk about this. This is a section for the building cross section looking west, and you can see the daylight plane here. That's the diagonal red line, and you can see the profile of our building well back from the daylight plane. You can also see the evergreens kind of sketched in there as to what will provide screening. The purple areas is the area that's over 30 feet, very small area. The photographs on the top, I stood on a ladder 12 feet up in the air, held my cell phone. That's the view out our northern windows to Gene and Lee's houses. You're hard pressed to see those. Those are evergreens, so they're green year long. Next slide. Drainage, I won't dwell on this. There's more drainage going to the northern neighbors now than there will be when we're done. We're capturing the water, we're capturing all the downspouts, and it's all going into a pipe underground. Next. That's it. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Tom. Comments on the board? Shana? Kat? Brian?
No.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for your remarks. I would be also pleased to hear comments from the public. As you approach the lectern, please state your name and your address.
Good evening. I am Jean Mimi Mills. My address is 580 Evanston.
And I will limit you in time, also 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yes.
Thank you.
Better than 30 seconds that the zoning board gave me. But before we start my 5 minutes, I just quickly want to answer Representative Fisher's question about the misunderstanding about this being jammed in on Friday. It actually was not on the agenda as of Friday. And last week, a lot had come to bear around the confusion on Block 3. Many people who had originally supported Block 3 and the Trombley's incorrect petition, so one, they thought they were supporting 2 stories, they thought they were supporting what was going on currently. And so I had a ton of community members come to me within the last 2 weeks and say, I didn't realize there was a second one on this block that they were looking to approve. So there's been great confusion about it, and I think that's what sped it all up last week. We went from over 100 signatures on the petition in 24 hours once people realized that there was a second condo. So as I said, I do live adjacent to the Trombley parcel, and I want to be clear from the very start, I am pro-development and have been from the beginning. I am opposed to this project, not because it's in my backyard, but because it's violating our zoning protections. Over the last year, I have attended all of the village zoning and ABR meetings regarding the Trombley-Dobbins project. In multiple meetings, there was never any discussion on why this was a positive for the broader Lake Bluff community. Dobbins just kept referring, as he did tonight, to the comprehensive plan tells us that Lake Bluff wants multifamily on Block 3. So I asked outright during the zoning meeting for the PCZBA on why this is good for the community, and the board refused to answer me. Chairman Peters then told me I had no more time to speak. Okay, so I found this odd, given that it is seemingly what anyone would want to know, and when do we get to ask questions of our village representatives if not in the public forum? I started to feel like something was being hidden. So after a few weeks of asking for a meeting, I was finally able to meet with Regis and Drew this past Friday. Yes, 48 hours, the same day they published the agenda, which did not have this on it originally. And when I met, I asked the same question: why is this good for Lake Bluff? And their answer, quite frankly, shocked me. Regis told me that multiple developers have complained it's too hard to work with Lake Bluff, that the village wants to be good partners to developers. And he said they want to set a positive precedent on Block 3 for doing the same thing on Block 2 next. Regis stated that during the comprehensive plan redo, 60% of Lake Bluff residents said they weren't in the right size house currently and that they wanted diversity of housing. He also claimed that there was widespread support from the community for diversity of housing. So I thought, okay, I must have missed something. I was part of the comprehensive plan during community feedback. So I asked to see the data that supports the claim of community interest. Drew sent me the missing middle document and a draft of the comprehensive plan this morning, and I have spent all day poring over these documents. And nowhere in either of these documents does it say the community wants to remove zoning on R4 properties to make way for multifamily housing. Nowhere. If I'm wrong, I ask you to show me how I'm wrong and where it states otherwise, and at the very least, push the vote for tonight so that we can get the accurate information. Does the community want it, or is it just Lake Bluff, the village? And I have to tell you, in fact, the documents Drew sent me said actually the opposite. On page 44 of the Lake Bluff Missing Middle Housing Study, it says one of the challenges, and I quote, is there is great shared community concern for height on Block 3. It goes on to say, and I quote again, there is no community interest in exceeding zoning on this site. This is in the comprehensive plan and the multi-middle that I was given by the village. So what I'm opposing tonight is not the development itself. I have said all along, if you can stay within zoning, go ahead and build this. It's the systematic use of the comprehensive plan to override zoning protections that our community fought hard to establish through our no 3-on-3 over the last 10 years we've been fighting this. While the comprehensive plan now does show the need and desire for diversification of housing, nowhere does it state that zoning relief should be given on R4 residentially zoned properties to make it happen. Additionally, in the documents Drew shared, I found a multifamily district map outlining where they are looking to put multifamily housing. And guess what? Block 3 is not included in it. This is on page 6 of the comprehensive plan. I only get 5 minutes. I can't do a presentation like Dobbins can, but I'm happy to share that with anyone who would like. It also states that Lake Bluff would be ideal for more moderately priced townhomes, smaller cottages, and duplexes with attached garages. Units could sell at $250 to $300 per square feet. That is a far cry from the $950 per square feet the Trombleys are trying to propose.
Hey, Jean, you have just a few seconds.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have someone who can fill in for me after this. So if you don't want me to keep it, I'll bring up another neighbor. It goes on to say many buyers are interested in ground floor or single-story living. The current project is
Jean,
two-story
5
living.
minutes. Thank you.
Okay, Jude, will you come up and take over for me? Let's read it right from here.
You're welcome. My name is Judith Sharp. I live at 206 East North Avenue, and I'll just take over the remainder of this and then pass it on. So it goes on to say that many buyers are interested in ground floor or single-story living. The current project is two-story living with a third floor access to the roof. Although I was confused by one of the proposals in the picture, where to my untrained non-architect eye, there's clearly 3 rows of windows. So I'm not quite sure how you get 3 rows of windows from a 2-floor dwelling. Lastly, it stated that new development in Lake Bluff must be carefully consider the existing community fabric so as to not overwhelm neighborhoods in regards to scale and density. I think there's no doubt about the density of the proposal that we just saw outlined today. There should be development types that allow for young families and professionals to make inroads into our community, and I fully believe that. But I would echo Jean's point that our own plan stated that should be at a 250 to 300 per square feet range, not the 900 per square feet range being proposed today. I think there are few families that were looking to start out that could afford a price tag along those lines. It goes on to state that the single-family nature of Lake Bluff is an overarching goal for all our housing policies in the village. Of note, Regis did admit, to Jean, not myself, that the Trombley project doesn't really help get young families and professionals into our community. He told Jean that it was accomplishing is setting a precedent for Block 2, which is next, and showing developers Lake Bluff is easy to work with because they can and will override zoning laws. And I feel like that's my biggest challenge, is that we buy property in this village based on the zoning laws that are proposed. If you can easily overturn that zoning law, why am I investing in a village and buying a property here? If you can just change it on a hat. Drew went on to tell us that this was always the village's plan in creating the new comprehensive plan, a precedent for Block 2 and better developer relationships. I challenge the board to say better development relationships at the challenge to your taxpayers who are funding you, not your developers. Now I want to stop here for a minute and let that sink in. This isn't about evaluating Block 3 on its merits. This is about using Block 3 to show developers that Lake Bluff is developer friendly. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call spot zoning and is often declared invalid by the courts. And guess what questions the courts are going to have if this project gets approved and we file for an injunction? The court is going to want the same answers we've been asking for. What is the size of the parcel? Well, in this case, it's zoned for 4,500 square feet and is being approved for 12,000 square feet and a 3-story development. A court will want to know what's the anticipated public benefit. So far, none has been offered by this board, and I would ask you to defer a decision until you can actually articulate that. And if this was the reason all along for developing a new comprehensive plan, think about what that means for the village and the intent behind your activities of the board. It was created to build justification for what the village has been trying to do unsuccessfully over at least the last 10 years. Residents who participated in a process that was designed to undermine the very protections that they thought they were helping to preserve. The Block 3 property is simply too small for this size of complex, full stop. It's being jammed right next to the Altunian condos and creating massive overdevelopment in the heart of our residential areas. We saw a lot of comparisons side by side of 2 projects in 2 very different zoning boards. And I think that was an omission, perhaps in the presentation, to not call that out. This isn't about housing diversity. It's about maximizing developer profit and showing that Lake Bluff is easy to build and at expense of our community standards and desires. When developers complain that Lake Bluff is too hard to work with, what they really mean is your zoning protections are working and you're doing your job as a board. Our height limits, size requirements, and density restrictions exist for a reason, to preserve the community character and the quality of life that we have all bought into by buying property in this village. So here are my questions for the board tonight. To President Charlotte, you ran the
Thank you.
Okay. Excuse my English and lack of French. You ran the comprehensive planning process. You knew housing diversity would be used to justify overriding zoning. Were residents told the truth about what they were really approving, or were they misled about the plan's true purpose? If this project establishes that the village will grant relief from height limits, sizing requirements, and density restrictions, then no zoning protection in Lake Bluff is safe. And that is a true concern to me as a taxpayer and a property owner in this village. To the entire board, since when developer profits, concerns, and complaints about Lake Bluff being too hard to work with outweigh residents' quality of life and the zoning protections we fought for and purchased when we bought in this village? If this is really about housing diversity, why not build within the existing zoning? There are multiple areas in the village where diverse housing would be appropriate without requiring rezoning relief included in Block 3.
Edie, I'm sorry to stop you. You have just a few seconds.
So I'm
Thank you.
asking you to stop all development. I'm asking you to require the development to follow the zoning regulations we have in place. So I urge this board to vote no on Block 3. This property is too small for the project, and approving it sets a dangerous precedent, not a positive one. publish the full list of boxes to check if this
Judy,
is
thank you.
one. Okay.
All we have to do. So you guys can answer these questions for us tonight and show that they're wrong and we're fine.
If you want to make a comment, you need to step to the lectern. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Brian Oak and I'm at 117 East North Avenue in Lake Bluff. I'm the yellow house right behind the Altunians construction. My wife and I, Sonia, just moved to the area in December of last year. I grew up in Lake Forest, been there since 1985. Grew up coming up here. I mean, going to Bluffington's, getting my favorite tuna sandwich, getting my favorite turkey club. Playing sports up here, so I'm familiar with the area. And I get nervous up here. This is my first time, so give me a break. But as for this community, it's one like no other. Just about every car stops for you to cross the street, even when no stop sign is present. 99% of the time when Sony and I are walking the dogs, I'd say somebody says hello and how are you doing? Block parties and events just about every week during sunny seasons. We just had Rib Fest. That was awesome. And although sometimes these annoying kids are riding around with their scooters everywhere, whipping around town, there's something to that. And, you know, it's these kids, I think, take advantage of such a fairy tale place that no other community really has on the North Shore. The list goes on. So it's my belief, doing what you guys are doing, Mr. Dobbins, nice to meet you, to Block 3 will pave landscape to what Lake Bluff isn't today, and for future generations. That's my belief. That's my opinion. Again, Lake Bluff is not like any other city on the North Shore. The reason we moved back is because we love this city over Lake Forest. That's where my parents are. We chose Lake Bluff over Lake Forest when, you know, we could have chosen Lake Forest. Anyways, now, this is such a nice community where mostly everyone gets along and we walk our dogs regularly. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that oppose this, but we can all still be friends, but this is business. So I do have a few things to say here. With all due respect to the architect, I did show these renderings to developers I know. I won't name names, but very well-known developers. And here are some of the things that they said. Respectfully, this is out of their mouths, not mine, but some of them I agreed with. That is something that doesn't belong in Lake Bluff. Looks like it belongs in a cookie cutter development. That is ugly. So, you know, going back to 2019, I read some of the meeting minutes and, you know, a neighbor came up on my lawn yesterday while I was putting up decorations and brought this to my attention after I saw renderings. I didn't know there was a meeting tonight during a Bears game and on a holiday. You know, Highwood did something like, you know, what I feel like we're doing tonight. I won't get into that, but you can research that. And that's something that I feel passionate about. But in 2019, a member of the PCZBA, I think it's James Murray, and mistake me if I'm wrong, quote, end quote, said provision 10-15-3C, maximum PMD height states that no building or structure in any PMD shall exceed 30 feet in height, nor shall any building structure in any PMD exceed 2 stories. And then he goes on to say, if this section was removed, then anyone could apply for a PMD that exceeds 30 feet. Not as of right, but the request would have to meet the PMD standards. And then in March 9th of 2020, there was a 4-2 vote that kept the height of 30 feet, which was great. My concern, I would say, is living across from Block 2, what this sets as a precedent and what goes there next and how this changes or could potentially change Lake Bluff as a community. The block parties that I talked about, the kids around streets, the traffic I get is he has a good argument. There's, you know, traffic is, it's great. There's not really any here. The cars stop for you. But I feel like with this development moving forward, it absolutely will change things. We've seen this in towns. I mean, Nashville, Tennessee wasn't built for what it is today, but I'm not saying we're going Nashville, but you know, it's just something to consider. So my questions, and I'll leave here tonight. I have 5 questions. You don't have to answer them. I don't know if you guys actually answer questions when we're talking to you because this is my first time. But I saw an original petition for a 2-story home with completely different renderings than what we received in mail recently. I know I moved in December of last year, so I do need to bring brought up to speed. A neighbor came over while we're putting up decorations yesterday, and it's, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm researching this. I had less than 24 hours to do this, and we've got 129 petitions, up from like 100 in 24 hours for blasting things out and educating our community. But when and how did the story change from a 2-story to a 3-story? I might be ignorant, sorry if I am. Did we get the votes for that? How did a 12,000 square foot development get approved for a lot size that calls for 4,700 square feet? Is that
Brian.
true? I don't know. Maybe.
Right, I need to stop you just a few seconds, okay?
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So continuous 5 minutes, or if I get another 5 minutes, but my only point is on such an important topic where people, including myself, are obviously nervous to be in front of the board, you're not giving us enough time to actually state our position. Well, Tom just got about 20 minutes in addition to the multiple minutes he's gotten over these last 2 years. We've never had answers answered until this Friday when you finally met with me. So this I find very odd that he didn't even get to finish. He said he was almost done.
Everybody, I'm Brad Harper. We live at 626 East Scranton. Been in Lake Bluff for about 20 years. I had no intentions of speaking tonight. For what it's worth, I have a lot of respect for the Trombleys. I know them. I think you said it best. You kind of inspired me to come up. You said, first of all, it's business. And second of all, I think it's important everybody's heard. I apologize. I'm getting over a cough. One thing that somebody said is zoning is very important for integrity. And we went through building of our house about 6 years ago, had a lot of zoning requirements, a lot of regulations. Our architect did a really, really nice job staying within those requirements. That was part of what we changed our design, we changed our build structure, but our goal was to fit within those requirements. There are rules for a reason, you stay within the box. Now, to have an exception or a variance, I think you have to have a really compelling reason. And from seeing the slideshow, again, I've been an outsider through this whole thing. I came because I was intrigued. It looks to me like the whole intention of the third floor, so to speak, is for a rooftop or a rooftop deck. Not necessary. It could have been designed around. You could have dropped it 4 feet. I don't know what the ceiling height is, but I'm concerned that maybe we're putting profits above our intentions of zoning and what really that means. There's profit inspired there. And again, I have a lot of respect for you from a business side. I understand where you're coming from. I would do it as well. However, as a resident from the outside, I think that we really have to look closely at that. The other thing is, I think you're hearing from a lot of community members, some are for, a lot are against, and I do think there are a lot of unanswered questions with that as well. What is this going to do we talked about drainage, but you are losing a lot of green space with the whole thing. And you can smile, I laughed during yours, but I think that's really important. And I think you have to listen to all the neighbors and think through what is the intention of zoning, first off. Within the zoning, what are the intentions of those requirements? Whether it's ridge height, whether it's setback. I may have misunderstood, Mr. Dobbins, but I believe you said that residential setback is 18 feet. Yours is setback 22 feet. But then you did put in a caveat and you said there's an open porch, however, that will impede farther. And I don't know if you meant it will come farther than 18 feet or closer than 18 feet to the sidewalk, but that's something to look at too. There might be some caveats in the design side, but I just wanted to get up and speak and share my thought that I think there are a lot of unanswered questions. I don't have a dog in the race, but I think that there are some fair things that people are calling out that should be considered when we're looking into this. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Any more public comment?
My name is Paul Mew. I live at 560 Evanston. I've been a resident of the village for 32 years, a former village trustee, former member of the Development and Downtown Ad Hoc Committee, active participant in the 2010 and 2016 strategic planning processes, and I'm a current member of the Business Advisory Ad Hoc Committee. None of that entitles me to anything, but it does give me some perspective. I fully support the proposed multifamily development of 570 Evanston, has been proposed by the Trombley family and the Dobbins Group. because it is consistent with the village strategic and land planning uses. It's consistent with the need for multifamily housing in the village. It's consistent with the development of multifamily housing on the west side of that property, at the 120 East Granton is how it's known. And it's consistent with the look and feel of the surrounding homes, unlike the development at 120 Scranton. So I encourage you to vote favorably on these proposals before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Hi, I'm Julie Bell. I live at 213 East Scranton, and I like the Trombleys a lot. All I was going to say, because I also didn't plan on speaking, is I also agree with the zoning laws. And I just wanted to point out that those pictures are taken in the summer with full trees. And then you have neighbors in the winter that are going to have, I know I see my neighbors behind me in the winter when the leaves are gone. But I would just say to really consider the zoning laws. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let me see, there's questions online.
Do we have comments online?
There are one question I'll read aloud. This is Stephen Corliss. I believe he lives on North Avenue. How is this mixed use? How does this contribute to the local economy, especially when developers have claimed that traffic will not increase because of so few units, and the demographic being quote unquote empty nester who may only reside there 50% of the year? There is such great potential for this site to contribute to the retail/business district. The Altunian site was already a Majoy, I think that's right, maybe typo, missed opportunity to extend the retail opportunities, especially with its adjacency to the public library. These are massive misses considering the growth and support of the local economy.
Thank you. Any more raised hands? I do not see any.
No.
Any comments on the board in reaction to what was said in the room tonight?
Regis, thank you for the time. That's a good question that he asked. Drew, do you have any idea what type of property tax revenue that these 4 units will bring to the village compared to the vacant lot that it is today?
It'll be a sizable difference. I don't know the numbers that was not calculated. That part of impact is not part of the requirements.
Can you ballpark sizable to the village?
Tens of thousands of dollars in property tax and impact fees as well. Each of the units will have an impact fee of around $40,000 per unit, which will be spread out amongst the different taxing bodies, the park district, the school district, the library, the village. Those impact fees go toward capital improvements that the impact of these units will have on the various districts.
Thank you, and sorry for putting you on the spot, Drew.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rafi.
We have talked, just so for the audience's sake, there are projects that are much larger scale when you're doing a large PRD, which is a planned residential development, like a stone bridge or so forth. That's when the village requires developers to go through and do an impact analysis when there's such a large impact on the taxing bodies.
And Drew, we've spoken a lot about the missing middle as a group. And I think that the strategic plan for Lake Bluff that we've been working on for quite some time also addresses that concern. And the entire point of having a multi-unit dwelling is to kind of do that increase from the residential area into downtown. Is that correct? To kind of make this transitional impact into downtown, as the developer was saying, or the architect, I'm sorry.
That's right. The village has done 2, I'll call them community-led or driven strategic plans. And in each of those occurrences, one of the reoccurring themes was lack of diversified housing. Lake Bluff, like a lot of communities in the North Shore, have a lot of detached single-family homes. Lake Bluff is in that group, and with over 90% of the residential units in the village that are detached single family. And thank you. So there has been a distinct, I guess I'll call it a cry for diversification of housing product types, whether it be townhomes, row homes, condo units. In this particular case, one of the comments was made about these units are very expensive, and that, you know, some of the comments, certainly the missing middle housing study called for if there's a ways to have more attainable housing. That's very difficult to do in Lake Bluff, and that was part of the conversation. Is the underlying land cost, the basis of the land drives these projects to a high expense, and this is a premier site in the core, adjacent to the downtown, close to the lake. Prime real estate, and that's going to have high prices. And I think the difficulty trying to achieve the village's comprehensive land use plan goal to have this as transitional residential, and that's stepping down from central business district to detached R4, not even R5, right? So it's very difficult to do that in such a small footprint. And that's why I think this project's been so challenging for everybody, and why these are the fifth developers coming through trying to achieve this, because it's not easy. It's a difficult planning venture and design venture. I think the idea of having diversified housing has come through the strategic plan and in the comprehensive land use plan. And to a point that Mr. Corliss was making, you know, why wasn't this mixed use? It's not misused, and the villages actually specifically call for this to be residential, not mixed use. Because the idea of it's transitioning. And so when it's touching these detached single family homes, they don't want to have the commercial aspects of that. Hopefully that's answered your question.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think that part of that is there's a difference between, because I had a hard time understanding it when we were talking about the strategic plan for Lake Bluff between, affordable housing and transitional housing and step down housing plan. And this is more of a transitional, it's not affordable, but it's something that people can transition out of, whether it be grandparents or other people who just want to downsize into something where they can stay local, still participate in family, rather than in, my head thinking about it as affordable housing or subsidized housing. It's not supposed to be that. That wasn't in the strategic plan for that site. Is that fair?
That's right. And during the comprehensive land use plan development over the last, let's say, roughly 20 months, the residents that spoke out said, what's wrong with high priced condos? And they specifically, there was a lot of, I will say, pushback on affordable housing that came through. I think the difficulty is, again, small site, difficult to achieve multiple policy objectives on one site. There's other properties. The comprehensive land use plan does point to other areas in the community within the R5 district wrapping around north of the downtown, as well as other greenfields like Stonebridge, some other properties near the elementary school along Green Bay Road, and other sites that could be developed and include multifamily or diversified housing product types. If you remember, Stonebridge did have the historic preservation elements called for the manor house and gatehouse to be converted to condos, as well as attached and detached housing throughout that development. So the village, it wouldn't be the first time the village has attempted to have a diversified housing product type. Obviously, that didn't happen with the 2008 downturn, but this site specifically, as it's contiguous to the CBD, is called out in the comprehensive land use plan for transitional multifamily.
Thank you.
And may I ask one, there was one point that Jean brought up, and I wanted to clarify this because she and I had a conversation about this being added to the agenda on Friday. That happens all the time in Lake Bluff. And I know that could rub certain folks the wrong way. And it's something that I've learned over the 17 years I've been here is it's never a good time to talk about something somebody doesn't support. And the answer is what I told Jean and what I've shared with the board is when the projects have completed the required procedures and all those items have been checked in terms of visiting all the various advisory bodies to get input from the community about the projects, that's when they're ready to go. And sometimes that means adding them onto the agenda after it's posted on a Wednesday and putting them on a Friday because certain things have been achieved in terms of completion and it's ready to go. And so I know when I first came to the village, the board was being criticized for approving Stonebridge during the summer. And I've heard things like when things are being done in December, it's the holiday season. So that I've learned there's never a good time. So it's when they're ripe, that's when they go. Yes.
But isn't it true that you have 60 days from when? So they met with the ABR last Wednesday. You have 60 days from Wednesday to put it on the agenda. What was the rush?
The idea, and I think I told you this, is that when they're done, then they go and then the board can choose to take their time to do that. And the board can continue it if they want, and they can add time. It's just me as the administrator, I put into the pipeline and when it's ready, then it goes.
Okay. Well, that's why I encourage the board tonight to at least push it. I mean, maybe don't vote no, but give us more time because a lot of information has come to light just over the last week alone. So.
Thank you. Brian?
To the question of transitional, and this is to the developer. I don't know what you can share, but have you received interest or commitment to any of the 4 units? Yes, please.
Yes, we have 3 very interested parties, which, kind of suggests the prices within reach. I mean, they're expensive units, but yeah, 3 out of the 4, we have serious interest. The reality is we need to get approval before the serious interest can turn into something more than that.
Is the interest from residents in the area?
They are all Lake Bluffers.
So Lake Bluffers want to live there?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could I offer some commentary about the delay? The delay. This is the first.
So what delay?
Well, Gene is suggesting delay at 60 days. This is the first reading. It is not as though there isn't a second opportunity at this. So I would suggest, assuming, things go well, that Gene and everybody else can come to the next meeting that it comes up and have more time to do. I would also challenge Gene or anybody, what new information has come out? They could continue to criticize us for certain things. There is no new information that I can tell, but I'd be pleased to hear it. So maybe we can address it.
Thank you.
Again, if I have more time, I can state it again.
I actually want to, I'm foggy on what the new information is, but before Jean comes up again, I guess I want to say a few things about this process respectfully. None of us are paid. So when community members say something along the lines of the taxpayer money is coming to us to do our job, we're volunteers, we're your neighbors. This is hard work for us. And we do it because we love this community. We show up twice a month. We do a lot of reading. We do a lot of research. We all have a second job from sitting on this panel. We've been considering this plan and taking these meetings and listening to community members for a very long time. We have been told by the same group of concerned community members that they are very excited about the height variance and the way the Altunian project looks. It is not easy for us to read your minds when you don't come into the meetings and talk to us. Jean excluded. Jean has consistently been clear on how she feels. But part of the issue here is we cannot figure out any other way to be more transparent. Okay, this stuff has been pending for a year and a half, 2 years. The strategic and comprehensive plan has been an ongoing, very publicized project. And there will never be a project that suits everybody and pleases everybody. Our job is to be progressive and move things along, or else we have what has been happening with the bank lot. It sits and rots, literally. That building is rotten, or was rotten inside. I have been very vocal on this board about, I'm your resident lefty on this board, guys. I'm the one who's saying, I want the condos that, my college grad can move into right out of college, because selfishly, I want them to move back and stay here. I have had to compromise on that and understand exactly what we just were talking about, that this lot specifically is not going to be the low cost living, okay? We know what our community is worth and the values of the community. So again, I am confused about why this is now all of a sudden we have all of you here. And I love seeing you all here. I nerd out when you all are here, but I needed you guys here all of the other meetings so that we could have had a more thoughtful discussion. I'm also confused. I don't understand completely what the concern is because we just approved, height variances for the 2.5 on the Altunian. Everybody loves the rooftop on the Altunian. This is not 3 levels of living. It is a rooftop. I guess I'd love to hear again from you, Mr. Dobbins, on can it be 4 feet lower? I mean, the picture looked like it's like a little cap of 4 feet. Is there something?
So, wait a second.
So-
Finish your comment.
So bottom line, I'm trying to wrap all my thoughts in over the last hour, essentially. Those, the trees in between are evergreens, so they're gonna stay fully leaved all season. Well, that's what we were just told. So if that's not true, I wanna come by and look at them, okay? So bottom line, what I'm understanding is change is hard. We have all committed to change on this lot. If it's not this project, it could be another single-family home that you don't like the way it looks. It might be ugly. And we have to work as neighbors and community members to allow, the process to play out. And I guess I would probably want to understand a little bit more what Jean is referencing as new information. And highlight again that this has been open to public commentary for a very, very long time. And there have been adjustments made and community discussions and discussions with neighbors. So I'll stop and, yeah.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to say is, and it is the first time I hear Drew referring to 17 years on this board, because I feel that, to follow your comment, we are volunteer. To me, it feels like a full-time job. I don't get 1 penny from this experience, okay? Now I bring my experience of management and trying to get everybody to be in the same, to be in the same understanding. We have, to follow on Terrence's comment, we have a timeline for the comprehensive plan. We started on 7/13/2023. We ended up on 5/12/2025. It was 2 years of 2 firms helping us, Tesca and Opticos, thank you very much. Opticos is a national leader for the missing middle. That is, how can we get, I walked to every house in this village. And the thing I heard the most was, how can I downsize? Now, downsizing as $1,000 a square foot is probably not the right thing, but but it is a trend. It shows that we're committed to have this in the village where we don't have residential housing and the village hall. There are multiple types of housing in the village. It was 2 years of work. We spent late nights here. Now, that plan was communicated with village staff in the farmers market many times. It was by public meetings at the public safety meeting. It was an ongoing series of, we listen, we take notes. We had presentation in this room. We had panels. People visited, took notes, put Post-its. It was work. And people came out as saying, we need to do something. We need to change the way we are as a community. We need to improve the way we are so that when my kids leave home, I have a possibility to have a small footprint at home. That's what is block 3. It was the goal. And so I'm proud of what we're doing today. I'm proud of the fact that we're able to move these 5 lots towards something that will be contributing to Lake Bluff. I'm also very happy we have a residents of Lake Bluff downsizing. It was the goal, okay? So also regarding the second thing, that is we have a second printout that is a 570 Evanston, that timeline. Oh God, this is not hidden. This is transparent. Everything is in the open. It started on 11/2024. we are, whatever we are today, 10/13/2025. We had multiple meetings on that here. If you don't believe me, go online. Everything is on video. Okay, or it is transcribed. So I take exception to that because it is our presence on this board that is muddied and I do not like it. Okay, and by the way, Jean, we had 2 meetings where I went to the developer and I carried your comments and I make sure that you were listening to. So I take exception to that too. Now, I want people to be, I want harmony. I want people to feel like this is our community. There are changes, we live through change. Change is change. But we are trying to do the best with this community. Comments on the board?
I have another couple of comments here,
Please.
Regis. I appreciate everything Karen said. And I ask myself a question, how are we supposed to get other investors in our town for different projects on Block 2 over the years, on the project that we've already put out to bid? How are we supposed to get them if after 2 years of going through PCZBA, coming to the board, going through their ABR, that at the last minute we change our minds? So I have a tough time even having this debate here tonight after 2 years
Yep.
of having these discussions. And to correct a point from Mr. Dobbins, he said, and maybe you were just using vernacular, you said the PCZBA moved it on to us. Actually, Tom, what they did is they recommended to us approval of this project. So we put our trust in our advisory boards and they are recommending to us to approve it, not just moving it on, right? So that's important. They're passionate people. This process, the last couple of weeks, all of our inboxes have been full.
Yep.
We've, as a board, tackled social issues and have been called a lot of names. We've tackled financial issues and have been called a lot of names. This one was unique for me. I got called a liar, a cheater. I got called profiting from this. Taryn said we're volunteers. Tonight, I skipped bed and bath time with my kids to be here. My parents were sitting back there. They left early to go home to the kids. So to insinuate that we are taking money or profiting from this decision, it's disgusting. It's not true. It's factually incorrect. So I want to make sure I set that record straight. Some of those emails, I believe, were a form of harassment to me, and that's my opinion. So
Yeah.
thank you, Regis.
And what I would like to say, in the last 20 days, I received 34 emails from one single person.
Sure.
I don't like that. Any more comments on the board?
I just want to circle back to Jean's statements about new information and if we could get clarification on the new information.
I would like to let Jean come back up and answer that question.
Before Jean speaks, I would like to finish the round on
Oh,
the board,
yeah.
and then I can let you speak, Jean. If you give me a second, thank you. Last, Kat, do you want to say one word?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Good. And Taryn? Brian?
I just want to say, having been on the board for 10 years, I went through Stonebridge, I went through senior housing next to Jawa, I went through sidewalks and the Target development.
Mhm.
I understand and I hear what you're saying. It does come with a volunteer part of it. It is an unpleasant part of it. But I appreciate that you guys are still asking questions and listening to everyone. It's a hard volunteer job. It's a very hard volunteer job.
Thank you, Brian. Do you want to say a word?
I completely agree with Taryn, and none of the comments have come from me. I realize that there's been another neighbor, we all know it's been Lee, and I have written to the board and said very clearly, please do not align Lee's comments with mine. His position is not my position in the way he's approaching this. I'm not mad at you guys. I can't imagine ever doing your job and hearing from all of these different people, and I fully appreciate it. Where the new information came is I haven't been able to get information through any of these meetings. I've been able to sit through every presentation and hear Tom go on for 45 minutes about why it's good for the block and why it's good for Lake Bluff from like a financial perspective, but not from community members. And you're absolutely right. No community members were here. We all have busy lives. I spent a lot of time away from my children over the last 10 years as they grew being in this room to fight for zoning to stay in place, not for development not to happen. Just stick with the zoning. And so I think why you didn't see a lot of people this time around is one, they were following through me and they were just exhausted. They've been fighting it 10 years. They've won for 10 years. What has changed? And that's what I've been asking. We have been very clear that we want the density to stay the way it is, the bulk to stay the way it is in the zoning, the 3 stories to stay the way it is in the zoning. Why are we giving such drastic relief to this particular project? Now, new information. We like the Altunian. Everyone I've talked to likes the Altunian. You're right. The bank lot was rotting away. It was disgusting, and we couldn't find a place to put in it. It's in the central business district. What we're talking about now is not. It's continuous to the CBD, but it's not in it. It is zoned R4. It is residential. That's the difference. And when I asked, so going back to the new information, is I've asked repeatedly from the zoning board and from here, I told you the zoning board would never even answer my questions. And I was told, Drew, you told me this as well, they're not required to answer our questions, which I find insane, but okay, fine. I did ask Regis and Drew some questions. First time we met, I gave my opposition to zoning, and Regis is right. He heard me. He went to Tom. Tom said no. Regis said, okay, I did my job. I don't mean to be that flippant about it because you were actually very good about it. Drew, you've been helpful with the trees. You have been talking to me, but I have not gotten the answer of why is this good for the community? And that's when you guys told me on Friday, this was all based on the community or the comprehensive plan. And that's the part I've been confused about all of this time is what are they talking about the comprehensive plan? It doesn't say anywhere in the comprehensive plan that we want to get rid of
What's the
zoning.
new information that you're talking about?
That
What?
the comprehensive plan, the community told us through the comprehensive plan, they want to lift zoning in order to make this happen.
So you're making the assumption that the comprehensive plan wanted, like, I don't like, what's the new information though? Because this was the same from. a
No
year and
one
a-
had told me until Friday that,
What?
that the community, someplace within the comprehensive plan, had said they want to remove R4 zoning for multifamily.
It's been there the whole time.
Well, and can I make a point of clarification too? The comprehensive plan is a high-level blueprint for development in the community. It's what the village, how the village wants to look like in the future state.
Mhm.
It will not be as explicit as you describe and say, you know, give a height variation of 3 feet for
Well,
this or that.
it was that explicit though.
Well, it will not, well, I don't, where?
It was explicit to the opposite, that the community doesn't want it. It
Oh.
said it in your comprehensive plan, that what came out of your workshop was that of 30 people, by the way.
I think you're referring to the missing middle housing study.
Either one,
Yeah.
it said they don't want zoning changed on block 3.
As
Your
part of that,
community has said that.
as part of that process, that was a consultant, Opticos. They are, as Regis said, they are the leading thought leaders on missing middle housing. The
Okay.
village hired them to get the best advice on this housing topic.
Yeah.
Some of their recommendations were very aggressive. And the village PCCBA said, we're not going to recommend that to the village board.
Yep.
And one of it was to draw a much bigger line around the central business district to consider more missing middle housing opportunities,
Yeah.
say within a mile circumference around the CBD or the train station.
Yeah.
And the PCCBA said, not a shot. We're not going to do that. We're not going to authorize that, or we're not going to recommend that. But so there was comments in there. And I fear that may be grabbing a comment or, you know, a specific comment that was never adopted because the PCZBA took certain elements of that missing middle housing study, incorporated that into the comprehensive land use plan.
Okay.
So,
So the comprehensive land use plan pointed out that there is grave concern about building 3 stories on block 3.
and I think if you remember from the exhibit that Tom showed, that that particular site that we're talking about tonight had 2.5, as did the south side of East North.
I'm not worried about zoning or about the height anymore
Yeah.
because you can just go as far as density too. The density, we've been very clear about that too with the 47. This is zoned for a single family house. It was originally purchased by the Tromleys to build a single family house. They couldn't make it happen financially is what I've been told. I don't understand. So now they're trying to make money.
Actually, no, they didn't do it for a single family. They were developing 3 houses, including one for them, and developing that as a series. That was the plan.
Well, it was a granny suite, a granny flat. Because
No,
by the way,
3
one of the-
houses, including one with a granny flat.
Okay, so one house, 4 houses they wanted to build there?
3 house plus a granny flat.
Okay, well, again, that's over zoning. So they couldn't do that. Now we've got this. It's not going to benefit the village in terms of reaching the comprehensive plan, because the comprehensive plan doesn't talk about 900 square feet. That's not what we're looking for. Lastly, because I don't want to take up too much time, Taryn, to ask your last question about new information, is that once I got out there and started talking to more people, because it started to feel a little weird to me, I realized that a good majority of the people that signed their original petition thought they were signing for Eltunian. And so this just came to my attention while Regis was on vacation. And so 3 weeks ago, we found that out. I had a lot of people, some of them are in the room today, that originally signed the petition, and this time they were like, no, that's not what I was signing.
So I appreciate that, but that to me is not new information as in something has changed that has been available to
Well,
us.
a lot has changed through it in terms of misinformation. There's been a lot of misinformation.
But that does not come from the board and it didn't, respectfully, the petition that the Trombley circulated is not the reason why we're all here tonight. So
Fully understand that.
I would like to be very speak on that. We don't go by a petition or a set. There are 2 petitions actually, and one is with they're basically the same amount of votes, 156 to 129. Yours is 129, by the way. And so we don't go by that.
Yeah, because
This is absolutely not fair.
Yeah.
Okay, we go by a process, a 2-year process. We have different boards. You went through that. How many years? A year of meetings, 10 meetings. You said
I did too.
that's how we do it.
I know, but you didn't hear from the community in any of them. Let's take a vote on it with the
We
community.
did.
Well, who
This is
told
the
you they
point.
wanted this?
We did. This is why we have a process. We go through different
None of the
boards.
community.
I think we have to, because this is not how we conduct.
No, and I don't want to have the back and forth because
Right.
that does take away, but I do want to clarify something. All we've seen are the 4 letters, and Dobbin said tonight, they're the 4 people that want to move in, which my understanding is one of them is Courtney's mom. So who's helping to fund this. So all I'm saying is there's a lot that's not above board, and that might seem rude to you, but you've got to understand what they've been saying to us and what they've been telling their neighbors, some
but-
of them which they're in.
But
Okay,
that is
stop,
separate from
stop.
our job.
Stop.
you know?
Fine, but
Yeah.
all I'm saying is there's a lot
Thank
of
you, Jean.
community that wants.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Regis.
Okay. Are there any more comments on the board? We will have a vote tonight, and there will be another 2 weeks during which more information can be provided,
Exactly.
but we'll have a second vote
Can
in
you
2 weeks
just
from now.
repeat that, because there's still some commentary in the body, and I think it would be important for you to repeat what you just said.
And that is important. We have a vote tonight. Of course, it's a voice vote, and we'll have another vote in 2 weeks, during which, in those 2 weeks, we'll have the possibility to provide answers to any questions that is asked tonight. So it's a voice vote, and I believe we have a motion, correct?
Yes, the motion is second.
Correct.
This is on item 15.
So we have 2 items. We have 2 votes. We have item 15 and we have item 16, and I'm very specific. The first item is an ordinance amending section 10-13-3 of Title 10 of the Municipal Code regarding special use permits for planned mixed-use developments. And I have a motion on that one, correct?
Yes.
Correct. And this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
One opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. The second item, could I please have a motion on this item? And that would be an ordinance granting final plan approval, zoning variations and modifications for planned mixed-use development at 570 Evanston Avenue. Could I please have a motion for this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. So if anybody in the room has questions, please direct them to Drew in the next few days, and we'll do our best, and I mean honestly, our best to answer these questions. So thank you. And we will continue on our agenda, and we're going to resume item,
We should say without, what's the item,
Does anyone want some water? I can go get some.
Oh, no, I'm gonna go grab some.
Seriously.
Good things you have, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there other bottles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Drew, want to see?
Yes.
Want to
Yeah,
water?
we're gonna take that.
Water?
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys
let's
want
get
to
'em.
take a break for a second?
Also.
Let's take one.
I'm getting up.
LaCroix, LaCroix.
Cold beer. Right.
Yeah, what Brian said.
Glad the answer to my question was yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, great. Yes. Yeah, I saw that in the bio. Thank you. Okay, no problem. I could go on for an hour about Stonebridge and all the other developments.
I just made Drew get me a LaCroix, so.
Thank you.
I was on.
This is a good update.
So we were,
Squares, so. Sorry.
come on, who cares about sport? This is important here.
Regis.
So we were out of order for item 10A and 15 and 16, and I feel really bad for Katie and Ron here. And I would like to bring about item 12 as next on our agenda. Are there any objections to a change of order?
No objection. No objection.
And so we're moving forward with item 12. And item 12 would be an ordinance designating the residential building and coach house barn located at 112 North Avenue as a Lake Bluff historic landmark. I would also like to say, and I cleared this up with Peter, that Katie and Ron are dear friends. And I do actually end up working in that barn, by the way, working out. And Ron is also on the police board. So thank you, Ron, for that. I might have dragged him kicking and screaming to that one, but that is the deal. Okay? And could I please have a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. On June 17, 2025, the village received an application from property owners Katie Rayleigh Gauvin and Ronald Gauvin to locally landmark, the John J. and Mary Louise Herming Cole House and Coach House Barn at 112 East North Avenue. John James Coles, who built the house, was among the village's earliest pioneer settlers. The Coach House Barn in the rear of the property is equally as important in Lake Bluff history as it was a meeting place of a kiddie club, with pictures very often in the History Museum as the place to have fun. A social club for young people in the village during the time that the Camp Meeting Association was active. Additions have been made to the house in line with the original architecture. At its August 13, 2025 regular meeting, the HPC conducted a public hearing and unanimously recommended that the village board designate the residential building and Coach House Barn as a Lake Bluff historic landmark. If approved, this would be the village's 30th active landmark, and by the way, not demolished, and 37th in total. The village board approved first reading of the ordinance at its September 29, 2025 special meeting. Any question to the applicants? It is a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right. Trustee Renner,
Aye.
trustee Hatch,
Aye.
trustee Fried,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Hi.
and trustee El Shamas.
Aye. And the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Black evening.
So we're very pleased to also present you with this file.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Thank you for going through the process. As soon as you guys go through, and find me out that you're volunteer, I think they should double your salary. I was thinking of a pension.
That's the dad joke right there. They're always welcome here. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
So we are now resuming our order of meeting, and that would be item 7, the Village Finance Board. And that would be item 7A, the warrants report for September 23rd to October 13, 2025. And the agenda says that would be and fiscal year 2026 payroll report, and that is wrong. It is not part of that.
That was taken care of last meeting, the 29th.
That item is actually not reported in the heading. Is there a motion to approve a warrants report?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Thank you. And so this report is for expenditure of village funds for payments of invoices in the amount of $652,283.93 for September 23rd to October 13, 2025. Again, for total expenditures of $652,283.93. Any questions to Drew and Bettina from the board?
No.
No, it is a roll call vote. Clerk?
Trustee Hatch,
Aye.
trustee Fried,
Aye.
trustee Fisher,
Aye.
and trustee El Shamas.
Aye.
Thank you. Next,
This was before
I'm just call Renner.
trustee Renner.
Aye.
Yeah, it was before.
thank you very much.
P.
Oh God, chaos on the board. Next is our village administrator's report.
The only report I have this evening is I'm actually going to share the floor with Police Chief Matt Smazinski, who is going to give a brief update on the village's automated license plate recognition static camera system, also known as ALPR. So give me 1 second to share my screen. And we talked about giving the board an update soon on this, and we went back and we talked about it's not to steal Matt's thunder, but it's a little early, but we said we're gonna do it, so we're doing it. So here we go.
All right, so we'll try to be very brief on this one, so not to stay here too late tonight. So if we can forward to the next screen here. So this is an overview of the proposed and current camera locations. The bottom three, the top two to the left in the sanctuary are in place. We are waiting for those final two, one on Route 176, one on Green Bay. The 176 one was installed but removed due to the IDOT construction at that location. So we're trying to replace it in a different place. And then the one on Green Bay Road to the north is in the final permitting process with IDOT. So hopefully we can get that installed. We've been very fortunate to be able to work with Senator Morrison's office to try to help move this along with IDOT and get these up and going. So with that though, we also have 5 ALPRs in our mobile squad cars, or mobile LPRs in our squad cars that we have driving out and about when the officers are on shift. So we first installed these back in April. However, we've been using some of the research data or historical searches well before that. And we've had some successes with that as well, and we'll go into that. But what we did want to point out here is one thing we don't have is some of the commercial corridor covered. We rely on our partners such as Lake Forest. They have a camera on 43 and 41. If someone were to exit from our community, they would, in theory, read off of that plate reader there. We can go to the next slide.
I have a question for
Yes,
you, Mike.
please.
Can you please go to the previous slide? If I look at all the entry and exit points, you'll see that there is Green Bay, there's a camera there, but when I look at Sheridan Road and the military base, there is no camera there at the entrance.
Apparently didn't pop up in there. There is one up there on Sheridan Road as well. I don't know why it didn't populate on that one. I think we cut it too short.
It's missing. Just
Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's our,
Okay.
thank you for catching that. We
Thank you.
apologize. So just a little information. We get about 10,000 reads per day on the current flock cameras that are here. And what those can actually give us are information on potential missing persons, protection orders, warrants, custom hot lists. So we're going to kind of talk later how that kind of came into play in one of our cases, where we're able to enter a plate so that if it strikes across one of those plate readers, we're notified. We've used this so far 72 unique cases that we've been able to utilize the flock data to further and sometimes start an investigation for us with that one plate read. We do share our information with 48 agencies, and those are primarily in Lake County. And I know there's concern about some of the federal stuff that we've seen in the news lately. We do not share with the federal agencies, and we are able to search 4,063 cameras. And Deputy Chief Gerke's here today. He can kind of give you a little bit more about those 4,000 cameras that we're able to search. He is one of our primary points of contact for the department when it comes to the ALPRs, including the maintaining the systems, the checking logs, doing all those types of things to help make sure that this is a very solid program for us. So Deputy Chief Gerke, if you can just kind of talk a little bit about those 4,000 cameras or so that we're able to utilize.
4,000 cameras, basically, we put a request in for the state. Put in a request basically with every agency in Illinois, can we search your cameras? And it goes out to all of them, and then we can put out a radius search. And I think we put something like 50 miles in every direction. Can we search your cameras? And basically we send out a request and they either yay or nay it. We get, and so that's why we have about 450 agencies, and about 350 of them are within Illinois. That's what we can search. Again, I get those searches back from, or requests from those agencies, and we deny them, especially we do not allow any out of state, we do not allow any federal, and we are only allowing stuff in Lake County, northern Cook County, and I believe one maybe McHenry County because they have a similar target that gets hit by the same people that we do. So that's probably in a nutshell, that's our search system.
But this obviously helped us solve some of our cases and build some of the timelines for some things we've experienced. So I think it's important to share those. So the technology itself, before we got ours installed, we were able to utilize the search function to help find someone who was taking inappropriate photos of underage persons, right? Even before we got them installed, we were able to utilize the system for that. Move that forward, the ALPR technology helped us, not just Flock, but the technology itself, to build a timeline of the unfortunate accident that we had on Route 41 in February. We were able to put those pieces together and kind of draw a timeline of where that vehicle was prior to them coming into Lake Bluff.
It was a fatality.
And that was a fatality. That was a fatal accident. And so we are confident in saying that we wouldn't have been able to put those same pieces together and had that same investigative abilities if we didn't have that technology at our disposal throughout the area. But another big case we had was a serial bike theft group that was taking place here in Lake Bluff. And after multiple thefts, we were able to track the vehicles involved in this. And what's really important about that is that helped us start to build that case, work with multiple agencies, do a controlled buy. And then ultimately, once we have established that and got the warrant for that subject, we put that into the custom hot list. And it just so happened that that plate then hit in Lake Forest. And guess what? Lake Forest was able to apprehend them before they committed another crime. So that shows the Flock started, helped us start that investigation, identify the person, conduct the investigation, obtain a warrant, and then allowed for another agency to then pick up that person on the warrant and stop them before they committed another crime. So I think that's pretty impressive just when you look at something like that, to say that from start to finish, something that we probably would have experienced more thefts, in this case, bicycles, because we wouldn't have known where to start, right? And it's unfortunate because we do get a bunch of those cases. We do get a bunch of retail theft cases. And a lot of times we'll have, when it comes to retail thefts, there's generally not just one theft. They'll commit a few thefts here or there, and sometimes it'll take a bit before the corporation will call us and say something. But this allows us to start tracking back, as the deputy chief said, sometimes in McHenry County, we're seeing those same vehicles. Now we know what's coming our way. Now we know we can enter our custom hot list. If someone hits one of our cameras, that we can start taking some action. So we're looking forward to this. We're looking forward to completion of this project. We're trying to see how we can utilize this the best that we can, because we do see the value of this. We do see that we're utilizing this to start investigations, but also close cases, right? And that's important. We want these to be resolved as quickly as possible, and this is helping us do that.
Matt, could you remind the board, thank you, you remind the board about the cost of this project?
Yes. So for the first year, it was $30,450. And then each year, the annual cost is $24,000 for all those cameras that we're going to have installed here. So then roughly about $3,000 a camera, $3,500 a camera.
So the department right now is also reaching out. There's a couple of grant opportunities that they're pursuing to maybe work with some other private establishments in town to see if we can add some that we can have access to help solve some of these crimes that we're seeing.
Thank you. I have a question. Okay, go ahead. So this is 24/7, right? The cameras run 24/7 and they capture every car that comes through, correct? Or do you have to activate it to look for a
It captures the license plate, so they call that a read.
Okay. Stripping out the license plate information, anything related to the car, the system will actually deliver to you car counts, traffic counts by hour on each road, correct?
So there's an option to do a more traffic solution out of the product that they've recently rolled out, where they're trying to have more data analytics out of it. So right now, for a lot of the traffic data analytics, we utilize a signboard and then go out, put that out, and then collect the data. One of the products they are working on and have just recently presented to us is a more traffic analytics type thing.
I think that would be really useful if we've invested in the hardware to know about, because traffic studies are a big part of any development, how our business district has, you know, that could be, if the privacy is protected, if it's just stripped of, you know, cars on certain roads at certain times, could be useful to urban planning.
Yeah, this is just, I mean, you were meeting with, like, was it last week or something?
Yeah, well, that last week before some of that, that was, yeah, very.
This is just coming out. So
Yeah.
you're fortuitous. Yeah.
So I have a question for you because that whole initiative started with gangs coming in Lake Bluff, picking up a few cars. They use a stolen car themselves and they usually are a mile and a quarter or whatever it is. No, or a couple blocks from 41 and Green Bay. No, 176 and Green Bay. I believe that we have not had that activity already. I mean, again, yet, right?
No, we had, in fact, like last week before, we've had a night of that activity. taking
Burglary
place.
to motor.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, what that still allows us to do though is now we have means and ways, I don't want to go into too much on investigations. But
Yes.
to say is, what this technology does, it provides us opportunities to start in places we possibly didn't have before, right? And that's usually a vehicle in this case, right? So now usually folks are coming in a vehicle and this gives us a starting place.
The tool is being used to help.
Got it.
go
So
through this.
the answer is yes, but I won't ask more.
Chief, I've got two questions for you. My first question is, I'm sitting in the chair of a former trustee, Mary Cole, who advocated for flock camera systems very vocally, big supporter of it. One of her reasons was to prevent bicycle thefts. One of them was to keep our kids safe. You mentioned a story about a photographer taking pictures of a kid or something like that. Did the flock cameras help lead to an arrest there, or can you dive into that a little deeper?
Yeah, so it actually did. And this was before we had the technology in the village. We're utilizing other agencies' data. And the deputy chief was able to help coordinate that and ascertain what the vehicle was. And then that led back to a suspect, and we were ultimately able to charge that suspect.
Thank you, Chief. My second question is more an opinion question for you. Are these cameras acting like a lawn sign in my yard saying I've got a security camera, keeping people from doing a crime? Are we seeing trends in our crime activity?
At this point in time, I can't say that we've seen any sort of differential in that, but what can I tell you is that we're able to utilize it to start solving those cases, right? I'm confident that we wouldn't have had that little bit of info to be able to start the next step of the investigation.
Thank you.
So hopefully, maybe one day people start seeing those and they're like, but at least now it's helping us just to, further our investigations.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I have a question as well. And I'm glad this is working out. I was also in favor for it. But you mentioned that we don't provide information to other agencies outside the state or outside the county. Have we had requests from those agencies that we've had to turn down?
So we've not shared too far outside of those. Yes, we've not answered all of them. We've elected not to, trying to limit the scope of who we are sharing with. Obviously, that came to light recently with some of the reports in the news and concerns, right? So we're trying to be very diligent with that and being very cognizant of who we're sharing with, but still trying to help our neighbors.
Yeah, I think that could prove we may want to think differently about that at some point because of our proximity to Wisconsin, right? So close to the state line, and may change, but.
Are you seeing that we receive federal inquiries?
Federal? No, we have not.
I don't think they've asked.
Because I went through that trust training where this police department cannot provide information to ICE, simple enough.
Correct. And so even in the system, it's very straightforward. It's like a little slider thing that says no. I mean,
So it's just automatic
Yeah,
the way
no
it's set up.
If I may.
Clarify a part. So with these agencies basically request not a specific search, but can I have access to your cameras? And that's the thing that if they're not kind of in our small window, we say no. And if they're out of state, we say no. And it's an automatic system where it just automatically either tells them no automatically, or I get an email saying this town's requesting it. And I have to select it. If there's a town like Kenosha has something that is relevant to us, what they can do is they can still call me and ask, hey, can you check this? And here's why, and give me an explanation. I can be the decider, or the chief can be the decider of that. Okay, that is relevant to us. It is a pertinent investigation. We'll put it in the system ourselves, so that way we can track why it was searched. Because if we just say yes to Kenosha for unfettered access, then it's up to them for, why they're searching. But we'd rather have the control when it's outside of our, little area.
Okay, so Drew just said that you guys were gonna consider, because we're on the border with Wisconsin, allowing interstate access. What's that about?
Well, I'm just saying that there's specific there's things like that where may lead us in our own cases and may be useful. There just may be opportunities to take advantage of sharing with them to further a local investigation, because we know that crimes.
Who determines that?
Who determines what?
That, like when that's gonna be allowed, or when it's relevant, or like what's the reasonable suspicion? What's the probable cause? Like right now, you just like freaked me out because you're like, well, one day we're gonna allow Wisconsin, the access our cameras. Like what?
So let me try to answer that. So I think there's three things to talk about. One is, when we got into this, I think there was an understanding of how this tool would work and how information would be shared among agencies. And we quickly found out, well, that's not how it's being done. And I'll let Matt talk about that. And then the second thing is, there are, well, talk about that first, if you would, please.
So the sharing of, I'm sorry.
Well, you talked to me when we first got these cameras in place, the idea people ask, and immediately when we first started investigating this tool, there were agencies that would call up, let's say Oak Park, Illinois, would call up and say, hey, can we have access to this? And what we found out is people just immediately asked to open up the pipeline.
Yeah, so that's what Eric was talking about, is like limiting that ability to access. So to Eric's point is, if Wisconsin's calling to say, hey, we would like to have something checked. That's why we're trying to.
I understood what everyone said.
Yeah.
My question is basis. What is your basis for that? Yes, you can, no, you can't.
It's gonna be the severity of the crime. What are they asking for? Is this, is it tied to us in some way? Is it, is it?
But who makes that decision?
We would make that decision.
Who's we?
The chief and the deputy chief.
So both of you guys like
One or the other.
confer. You confer, or one or the
Well,
other?
it's gonna depend on if one of us is not available or not, but, obviously, there's good judgment being made. It's not just,
Based on what?
based on
Relevant?
our experience. Yeah, it is it gonna be,
Suspicion?
well, what are they asking for? What's
Okay,
basic
What are
crime?
they asking for?
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, I'm asking.
Is there maybe an example you could
Yeah,
share
are
where
you
you
saying like, is
did
it a
and
homicide,
why?
or is it like, a
Yeah.
theft, or is it, like, maybe that's, I'm missing.
No, I don't have a specific example because we have not been asked. I
Okay.
think a lot of towns currently are, they hit the system, they check what they can check, and if it's not there, or it's an agency that doesn't give them access, they just move on to checking the agencies that do. We just leave that door open always. If any agency wants to call us, we'll always take the phone call. That doesn't mean we're gonna give them the information.
Right, but what's
and I
like
think-
what's your protocol for yes or no?
Really, it's gonna depend on a lot of information. Do I have a specific policy set guidelines for that? The only thing we have in there is that they would have to provide us with a case number. So that way, if we wanted to audit why they chose us, that we can go and request that case report from that agency and get that information and audit it as to why. But I do not have a set standard of what the standard is to say yes, because it could be, anything from a retail theft that's related to us to a homicide that might be related.
Is it possible? Let me stop you for, because I listened to that.
Have you gone through training to determine what will determine what you guys, what the basis is?
I guess training on, I guess I'm not sure what the training question
Like,
is.
does Flock offer training on what you guys should and should not be allowing other extrajudicial jurisdictional agencies from accessing?
I don't say there's training. There are things on there. They do point out the state law is in the Flock program as far as the Trust Act. And making sure we actually have to check the box that we agree to the Trust Act. and that we are not searching for these type of reasons. Those are the only parameters I think that Flock has specifically installed in the system.
And how about in general? Do you guys, have you spoken about what you're gonna decide if Kenosha calls and it's a DUI as compared to a homicide, as compared to a kidnapping, as compared to child porn? Like, what are the differentials?
It's going to depend on some totality of circumstances, what's going on, why do they need it? And in most cases, almost all cases, him and I are, in an office next door to each other, we talk about these things all day long. So, I mean, we'd have that discussion, but I mean, so if someone's calling us, there's gotta be a legitimate law enforcement reason, right? It can't just be some,
Well, sure.
you
So
know,
it's discretion. It's 100% discretion.
well, we have to have discretion on a lot of things, and I mean, it's gonna predicate on what they're asking us, right? And I can't like just say, oh, we're gonna just say yes or no to something.
So
you know,
there's no level of reasonable suspicion, PC, anything like that.
Well, I guess why would we not though, I guess is my
I don't understand
question.
the question.
Well, that's why I'm confused on if it needs to be a law enforcement reason, right? So there's legitimate law enforcement reason to ask for the information.
Well, other jurisdictions qualify legitimate law enforcement reasons different than other jurisdictions, for sure.
And that's right. And that's why we're asked to monitor that and make that decision and do it within the best intentions and make sure that they are following procedure.
And can I potentially add to this? Maybe. So another thing we've discovered is that when the village set up our parameters on how we were going to use this tool, one of the things we talked about was how long we were going to hold on or access the data. In Lake Bluff, we talked about the window of time being 14 days. Most agencies are twice as long. And only recently it's only come up once where we had to close the door on using the tool because the time had passed. And we talked about that and said, well, let's monitor that. Let's track that. We may back and come and talk to the board at a later date saying, we may want to change this for these reasons. And I think that's just a reality. So at some point we'll come back to you and talk because we had extensive conversations about setting up SOPs around this. And so at some point I just wanted to call that out. That was another thing that had popped.
But I think this is the content of a conversation we have right here. So we have a chance to have Kat because you have experience with that. That was prior to what your current job is with the county. I completely appreciate your.
My current job, I'm still a criminal defense lawyer.
This is okay. Sorry about that. But the point is, thank you. So the point is, you're pointing to process. You're pointing to audit.
I'm pointing to you need suspicion in order to do things, and there's different levels of probable cause versus reasonable suspicion that you need to have in order to allow people to access records. And so it's just interesting to hear.
But so okay, wait. So is it interesting to hear, or should we have a process that says, no, we have a record for it, or we have a clear process to get to it? I thought you were going there.
Well, you didn't let me finish and Drew interrupted and I wasn't done.
Sorry.
I get there.
Sorry.
Got it. I got it, Regis. I got it. No, I don't need your help, but thanks.
I have a question for Kat, Regis. Trustee Hatch, I wonder, are there best practices from other communities that Chief could investigate and research? Are there a set of protocols that exist at other agencies, or is everyone else 100% discretion? I wonder if that's research he can provide us.
So we actually did do an extensive general order on this. And I think that our order and our policies were far past other ones that I've seen. In fact, I think we're well ahead of this concern that has surfaced in the paper lately about what's transpiring, where we have been limiting, we've had none limited on days. I think we took a very conservative approach to this comparative to other agencies. And that's why I'm slightly confused by your statement, is because we've been very conservative comparative to what I've seen in other locations.
I'm just saying that I'm concerned if there are no protocols. Like that to me is super concerning.
Well, so I mean,
They do require a case number for an incident, so it can be audited and tracked from beginning to end. I mean, you can FOIA any case report that we get.
I just think that you should have a standard protocol that says if it's a DUI request, yes. If it's not, no. If it's this, it's that. To have it be discretionary, that's a lot.
There is, well, the policy itself, which I think the board approved and looked over, does say, it just says for legitimate law enforcement purposes is what was approved. And it must provide a case number, and that's what we have as what our guideline is that was presented to us.
Would you like to share about the instance where you didn't provide the record because it was beyond the 14 days, like what that
That-
situation was?
Yeah, that's still a current investigation, but we can just say that.
Oh.
But yeah, that's okay. But I can just talk around it briefly is that, when we got the information of that a vehicle might be involved was like right around or after that time period and that our investigation triggered that to start searching for it. And then we weren't able to utilize that data then. So that's why we're trying to use other means, to track that down.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand the access to a database versus the request for a specific piece of information. I'm not a lawyer, but I think about all points bulletin, so as a hit and run, license plate 744 has hit a child, it's running through, please let us know if you see it, right? Versus let us look through your camera for the last, 12 days, all your traffic, everybody. And it's just for something security related. I don't know if they specifically ask for a specific piece of information, says, let me look through that and I'll let you know if I find it. But they just say, can we just have access because of this reason? I guess that's maybe a dumb question.
So yeah, that's the two part of it is the sharing with our agencies and then the more, hey, we want you to call us. And that's why we haven't subscribed to a lot of those other cameras. So we're trying to limit those who we feel are close in proximity to us. We know how they operate versus someone outside of that network or outside of our approved network and being more specific with their requests.
Mhm.
Any more questions to Matt?
You all know how I feel about that. So you don't have to get me started. I don't like it. I think it's a slippery slope and I don't see the cost benefit analysis. Sorry, guys. I know I'm outnumbered, so I don't mind being that blunt with the two of you. Mhm.
I'm Trustee Hatch, I'm happy to revisit their SOP and talk about it in light of like the 14-day and maybe if there's other safety features we can add to our process to safeguard it, and maybe work with our prosecuting attorney as well on that. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in. That's okay.
I would love to actually, because I think I think your comments were actually very valid. And I think this is a tool. This is a tool we need. I disagree with you on that one. But I think this is important. And if we can stop things that are despicable, even though if you talk about child porn or whatever else, it's useful.
Here's the thing, we didn't stop child porn and we didn't stop a fatality on the highway. We were able to get data to understand.
Yeah, true.
And we were able to apprehend the person who took the illicit photographs. So again, I personally don't know that outweighs our community's protecting our community's privacy and the direction things are going both, locally and more accurate, more on my mind right now, nationally, having this tool in place where I have lots of concerns that it's a private business, it can be purchased and misused or used in a different way. And I don't want us to be in a place where that genie can't be put back in the bottle.
Thank you.
Trustee Fisher, I deeply respect you in our conversations, but it seems like by apprehending that person who the chief talked about, and he didn't say child porn, he said pictures of a children. But by stopping that person, we stopped further engagements of that activity. So I think I disagree with that point. And for me and my kids, I am willing to give up a little bit of privacy on the roads to prevent that and stop people like that and apprehending them. So.
Thank you, Rafi. Any more comments to this item? Shayna?
No, thank you. My questions were answered. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for this report, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
I'll work with you, Trustee Hatch.
Okay.
Great, thank you. And that's my report.
Oh. So next item is item 11, and the acceptance of a correspondence.
Got the attorney's report.
Report tonight.
Jesus, I'm sorry, Peter. So again, acceptance of our correspondence. Correspondence was delivered to Village Board in the informational report on October 3rd and 10th Is there a motion to approve the correspondence?
Motion to approve?
Seconded.
Thank you. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. Next item would be item 13, no, 13.
Yes.
Yes, this is a second reading of an ordinance designating the building located at 545 East Scranton Avenue as a Lake Bluff Historic Landmark. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance? Thank you. Thank you. On August 2nd, 2025, the village received an application from property owners Gary and Elizabeth Doyle to locally landmark their L-form style home at 545 East Scranton Avenue, which was likely built around 1905. At its September 10th, 2025 regular meeting, the HPC conducted a public hearing and unanimously recommended that the village board designate the residential building as a Lake Bluff Historic Landmark. If approved, this would be the village's 31st active landmark and 38th in total. Please know the applicant is planning to renovate the kitchen and 2 bathrooms and add 2 small windows to the west side of the home in the same style as the current windows. The HPC discussed their pending improvements and had no concerns with the changes, which are acknowledged in the draft ordinance. Any question to Drew on this item?
I do have one comment, Regis. Taking up a lot of airtime tonight, so I apologize. Over the last week, I've had an opportunity to connect with Mr. Doyle on this project. We exchanged a few emails with Drew there as well. I also had a comment that my question last week to village administrator came off as rude about the reason why we were waiving second reading. So I wanted to apologize to the group if my question was perceived to be rude. That wasn't my intention. And like I did in the first reading, I supported it and I'm intending to support it tonight.
Thank you, Rafi. Any comments on the board following Rafi or following this reading?
No.
No? It is a roll call vote. Clerk, please.
Trustee El-Shabazz?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Fried?
Aye.
Trustee Hatch?
Aye.
Trustee Renner?
Aye.
And the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is an ordinance designating the residential building and sunken garden located at 348 Foss Court as a Lake Bluff Historic Landmark. Could I please have a motion on that?
Second.
Thank you. And by the way, I looked at that because I was looking for pictures of the sunken garden, and there was no such thing in the documentation.
I'm going to change that right now.
Awesome. And so as a summary of background, on August 22nd, 2025, the village received an application from property owners Nicole Holson and Richard Holson IV to landmark their classical revival style home at 348 Foss Court. The Hubbard House was built around 1895. The village's historic preservation surveys revealed that the home was owned by Chicago Marshall Field and Company and was used as a retreat for their female employees. Also of note, this home is on the HPC's priority landmark list. At its October 8th, 2025 regular meeting, the HPC conducted a public hearing and unanimously recommended that the village board designate the residential building and sunken garden at 348 Foss Court as a Lake Bluff Historic Landmark. If approved, this would be the village's 32nd active landmark and 39th in total. Please know that the applicant is planning to build an addition above existing garage in the same architectural style as the current home. The HPC discussed their pending improvement and had no concerns with the changes which are acknowledged in the draft ordinance. Any question to Drew or on this item?
Give me 1 second. I will share. And actually Mr. Doyle raised his hand and I just saw it. I presume it's on the last item, the most recent item that's already been voted on. Let's see if he's still there. I'm sorry. That would buy me a little time to bring up the image I was trying to share earlier. If that's okay with
You
you.
want to bring Gary?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can, Gary.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm out of town on business, so I couldn't be at the meeting tonight. Thank you for the designation and for your service. I heard all the other commentary and the other issues, so thank you again for everything you do. And by the way, that was not me that said Rafi was rude. I didn't think Rafi was rude. We had a very respectful email exchange with each other. Just wanted to set the record straight there.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you,
all.
Gary.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. 1 second. I'll share.
It's pretty.
So if I remember correctly, I'm going to show you the image. This is the sunken garden. So there's a couple steps that step down a lower area. And this area can be, hold on.
Can you stop?
I just did. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
It's a lovely home. There.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think this will be the second landscape element that's been landmarked in the village. The first one, there was the council circle out at Stonebridge, a landscape element. And these are always, you want to be sure that, to your point, that the image is captured so we know what it looks like today. The owner sent me several photos right before this meeting. I didn't get a chance to download them and share them out. I tried to do it and the meeting didn't work. But so the next hearing, you'll see a series of other photos, but it looks very similar to this.
Thank you. It's
Yep.
very pretty. Any comment on the board? No. It is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, and the motion carries. Next item is item 17, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois and the village of Lake Bluff appropriating funds for the Green Bay Road reconstruction improvements. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve?
Seconded.
Thank you. The village of Lake Bluff has received $2,840,000 of federal funding through the Surface Transportation Program, STP, for the reconstruction of Green Bay Road from West Witchwood Lane to just south of Illinois Route 76 West Scranton Avenue. The funding will pay for 80% of all STP eligible construction and construction engineering service costs. The village is responsible for 20% of all STP eligible costs and 100% of all costs that are not eligible for STP funding. The project includes $200,000 of work on village water mains that is not eligible for funding. The current cost estimate for construction and construction engineering for the project is $3.75 million, including $910,000 of village funds. In accordance with STP funding procedures, the project is scheduled to be bid by the Illinois Department of Transportation in January of 2026, with construction from spring to the fall of 2026. IDOT requires the attached resolution appropriating the required village funding to be approved prior to bidding. Prior to the start of construction, the village board will be asked to consider two additional resolutions. A resolution approving a construction engineering contract will be brought to the village board in the next 45 days, and a resolution approving the construction contract will be brought to the village board in February of 2026. The process will be repeated starting the summer and fall of 2026 as the village prepares for reconstruction of the remaining portion of Green Bay Road from West Witchwood Lane to the city of Lake Forest and the Green Bay Road Bridge in 2027. The project is estimated to cost $4.25 million, including $1.4 million of village funds. It is recommended that the village board approves the attached resolution appropriating $710,000 for the local share of STP eligible expenses. The project costs have been included in the projected budget for fiscal year 2027 and fiscal year 2028. As you will recall, the village held its second open house regarding this important improvement on July 30th. Planning for this project will begin in 2017, did begin in 2017. And I was present to that open house and it was
Very well attended.
visited.
Yeah.
Question on the board.
Two questions. So the construction cost estimate, the budgeting was done by us?
We're working with Baxter and Woodman to do our engineering design and they produce the estimates.
Okay, I assume they included contingency?
There is some contingency in their individual numbers where they kind of guess a little high. I think there is a line for a small contingency, but it's mostly just trying to be accurate or a little bit above with the individual bid items.
Okay, any construction project, you never know what you're gonna dig up, and at a certain point in the process, you control, it might be 20-30% contingency for some complex projects. And as you get further along, you reduce the contingencies if you don't need them. So I'm just curious. The other thing is the $200,000 that's mentioned here comes out of the other budget, right? For the flood control for the pipes. So the request.
Water main?
Yeah.
It's coming from the waterfront.
I'm sorry, the flood control.
Yeah.
Water.
And the whole point about the contingencies, we're doing clean table on that. We're removing anything on Green Bay, including the two water mains and one linking or whatever it's doing anyways. But basically
Abandoned water main.
we're gonna clean up that whole thing to the ground and rebuild that whole area.
Like I said, sometimes you never know when you dig.
You always never know when you dig. Yeah.
Okay.
It has been Drew and Jeff's favorite nightmare, by the way, that stretch of road.
Thank you.
Question to Jeff, Drew? No? Okay. It is a roll call vote. Clerk?
Trustee Fisher,
Aye.
trustee Fried,
Aye.
trustee Hatch, trustee Renner,
Aye.
trustee Elshmaus.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk. Our next item is an executive session. I do not believe that we have that tonight. And last is our adjournment.
Yeah, trustee reports.
Trustee reports. Do any trustee wish to make a report tonight?
Obviously, I've got one thing to say.
You are a delight tonight and you don't have to apologize for it.
I didn't get a chance to welcome Reverend Rachel at the Union Church who joined us earlier today. So welcome to Lake Bluff. She offered us an opportunity to come visit Union Church. I personally have never been. We've also gotten offers to go visit auto complexes on Waukegan Road. I'd love to plan some type of board outing to go visit some of our
Open meetings.
I was about to say, we can't all do that, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'll-
I'd love to go visit the, 2x2, take Reverend Rachel up on her offer.
Shoot me an offer, sorry. Shoot me an email and I'll make sure if anybody's interested in me, yeah.
Sure. And then lastly, I just want to welcome trustee Renner to the committee. Go green.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Rafi. Any more comment to the board?
I just want to mention that the light pollution ordinance will be coming to us soon.
Inside knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you. And by the way, I did meet Rachel for the first time. My family goes to Union sometimes, even though we don't belong. And Rachel has been in office for 2 weeks, and I thought it was a good thing for one of those three one of our 3 churches with a new pastor to come and visit us to introduce ourselves because we work together at the end of the day. So I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And if I may add on that, just related to that, not to keep everybody longer, but I will tell you, this state of where we are as a nation, like I was attending with some of our key staff, public safety professionals, mass killing training and mass carnage. And part of that is having relationships with your local pastors and spiritual leaders. And that is something that we have done a good job here. We've always had our chaplain with the fire department, and for Little Lake Bluff, we have 3 churches that meet here, and we've had good relationships with all of them. And it's actually, they meet regularly as a group. And Regis and I talked after that training because it was very moving training, largely focused around the Highland Park incident. And I said, I need to meet with those guys again. And he said, yeah, well, let's get an audience with them. And I said, requested for an opportunity to meet, and they said, we'll see you in 8 months, because they are very busy people and they meet monthly. And so it takes a lot to get an audience. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Yep. No, I think this is important. We're a community, and I mean, we're all working together. Simple enough. Given your preferences, we are all still one community. So I think it's important. Cannot miss an opportunity. Any more comments on the board? Okay, this time I will ask for an adjournment. Would I please have a motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you very much.